Hello and welcome to learnproenglish.com. Today we are going to do a reading lesson. If you have already created an account at learnproenglish.com, then you and I on the same page. If you haven't created an account, then I will highly recommend to create an account and log in. Let's get started. Let's click on reading. Then I'm going to click Freedom Ship, a floating city on the ocean. Just click on this and it will start the lesson. So the lesson is about Freedom Ship, a floating city on the ocean. All right, a company called Freedom Cruise Line International recently announced its plan to build a Freedom Ship, an enormous floating city that could carry up to 80,000 people. The vessel would be so large that it could never dock to any existing port around the world. Today, we are going to do passage by passage, like this paragraph first, then I will move to second because it's a longer reading lesson. So the idea, it is just suggesting that or saying that a company, its name is called Freedom Cruise Line International. Recently, a short time ago, not long ago. So here we can say not long ago, announced, made something known publicly, its plan to build Freedom Ship. Plan means a detailed idea about what you intend to do. Plan to build, to construct or create something. So Freedom Cruise Line International, company name, we understand that. Recently, not long ago, made something known publicly, like maybe they use any news distribution or any social media to announce, made their announcement publicly, or they publish a blog on their website, right? So they have a plan. So they have a plan and which they shared recently and made this publicly. And their plan is to build, to create something, to construct something, is Freedom Ship. So they are going to build a Freedom Ship, which is an enormous, extremely large. So it's an extremely large, enormous floating city. Why they are calling this floating city? Because they are going to, the ship is going to run on the water. So that's because it's staying on the surface of water, floating, right? So if something staying on the surface of water, not sinking, we can call this a floating, okay, a floating object. This will be a floating city because it's enormous. That could carry up to 80,000 people. Carry means be able to transport or hold maximum number. So it could hold or transport up to 80,000 people. That's gigantic. That's a huge amount of people because it has a capacity. The ship can carry, and this ship is Freedom Ship. The vessel, the boat, or a large boat or ship would be so large. So it is even so large that it could never, not ever, at no time, so we call this never, dock, being able to bring a ship into a port and secure it there. So it's not going to dock. So it's not going to stay and secure at any dock, okay, at any existing, never dock to any existing port around the world. Port is a place where ships load, unload, or stop, okay. So I hope you are getting the idea what they are going to build. The enormous very large, extremely large in size, floating, so it will staying on the water, a floating ship, not sinking city, and it has a capacity to carry or transport a maximum number of people, carry up to 80,000 people. The boat, large boat, vessel would be so large, so it will never, not ever dock, staying, securing at any existing port, right? The concept of such a ship was originally proposed by American engineer Norman Nixon in the 1990s. Although people discussed the idea for years, no one really attempted to construct it. The original blueprints were dusted off several times, but the project never progressed beyond the planning stage. Today, supporters believe that the demand for this unique ship is so strong enough to justify its construction. So the concept is an idea or general plan. So the idea, the concept, general plan of such a ship was first version was proposed, suggested by American engineer Norman Nixon in 1990s. Okay, so concept, the idea, originally at the beginning in the first version proposed, suggest an idea or plan for consideration. So the Norman Nixon proposed the idea for consideration. Although means even though, what we said. He proposed the idea, although, even though, in spite of that, people discussed the idea for years. I think not for just years, it's for centuries. People are willing to construct something, build something that can float around the world on the water, or so they can build a city on the water. I don't know how they gonna build this. This is a gigantic, but that's achievable. No one really, truly, no one actually attempted. Attempted means try to do this or try to build this ship, to construct, to build or create something like this. So no one ever tried to attempted to construct it. The original blueprints are detailed plans or design for building something. So the actual model or the detailed plan were dusted off. Dusted off means brought back into use after being ignored or unused for a long time. So like that, the idea was there, but it was ignored, it was unused. So what they did, they brought back this idea several times. So this idea was on the forum, on the news several times, but the project, the plan, the detailed plan never progressed, never advanced, never moved forward, right? Improved, move forward. Beyond means past a certain stage or point. So this is a combined. Progress beyond means progress past a certain stage or point, the planning stage. So it was never progressed beyond the planning stage. Today, supporters, people who approve of or help a person, idea, or a project. So today, supporters, the people who are in favor of this idea, believe that the demand means the desire or need for something. So today, demand for this unique unusual or unlike anything else. So unusual ship is strong enough. So they have sufficient, they have enough, as much as sufficient to justify, to show that something is reasonable or worth doing. So today, the demand, the desire for this unusual ship is sufficient to justify its construction. Now we have the technology, we have the capacity, we have the demand of this unusual thing. So now we can justify this, because not just demand, but this also need a huge amount of money which the company needs to be raised or funded to get this built, what I believe. Now let's move this next paragraph. Roger Gooch, the CEO of Freedom Cruise Line International. So this person, Roger Gooch, is the CEO, Chief Executive Officer, said that he is confident. So he is confident. He is sure the project come together successfully. However, he explained the capitalization or securing enough investment remains the biggest challenge. The company has already hired specialists. So they have already, before making this public or before now, they have employed specialists, including a project manager, designer, naval architect, to help turn the vision, the picture, idea into reality. Okay, so we know Roger Gooch is the president, and he is confident. Confident means feeling sure that something will succeed. So feeling sure something will succeed, the project can come together. Project can be built in an organized way. Okay, successfully. So this project can be combined, can come together successfully. However, he explained the capitalization, the real thing, the money, the process of obtaining, securing money or investment for a business or project. So he explained that capitalization or securing enough investment, okay, sufficient investment, okay, remains the biggest challenge. This is the real challenge, biggest challenge, or I will say the enormous challenge, but obviously possible. I think the initial investment needed is $16 billion. So they can secure it if they see a potential in this project, plan, or idea. The company has already hired specialists already before now or before a specified time, employed someone to do a job. So they hired a specialist, including manager, designer, and naval architect, to help turn the vision, the picture or idea of what something want to achieve in the future into a actual existing thing. Okay, so the state of something actually existing or happening is called reality. So they are damn serious about this thing. So they are showing the potential that they have hired specialists or crew members or team members who gonna turn this vision into reality. Even with the necessary funding. So even they have this necessary funding, this would be a monumental undertaking that requires massive amount of work. This ship hull would need to be built in sections because no existing shipyard could accommodate such juggernaut. At roughly 1 mile long, it would be many times larger than today's biggest cruise ship. So even with the necessary funding, like the required funding, the needed funding, necessary, required, needed funding, money provided for a project. So initially they have the uh, money, the necessary money to start this project. This will be a monumental. Monumental means extremely large, important, or difficult undertaking, project, task, or a piece of work that requires effort. So it would be a monumental, extremely large project or piece of work that require massive, a huge amount of work, amount of work in size, amount, or scale. So that's why we are using the word massive over here. It's representing a huge. The ship's hull, it's mean the main body of a ship or the main structure of the ship would need to be built into section. So they need to segregate. They need to build the main body or structure of the ship in sections, because no shipyard, no existing shipyard, the place where they build the ship or destroy the ship, okay, structure and destructure could accommodate. Accommodate means to have enough space or capacity for something. So they could, no existing shipyard could have enough space for such a huge juggernaut. For such a huge juggernaut means very large, powerful, and unstoppable thing. So something is unstoppable, is very extremely large, powerful, then you can use the word juggernaut. At roughly means not exactly, as this is a rough estimation, approximately, not exactly. So it's approximately 1 mile long. Okay, it would be many times larger than the today's biggest cruise ship. Wow. Let's move forward. The Freedom Ship would have an impressive capacity, housing up to 50,000 permanent residents, 10,000 visitors, 20,000 staff members. People would be carried between the ship and nearby ports by smaller vessels, smaller ships, because the giant ship itself would not fit into ordinary harbor or ports. So it is not going to fit inside or connect to any harbors. So that's why these people will be shipped between the harbor, ports, and ship using the other boats. So the Freedom Ship would have an impressive. Impressive means causing admiration because of size, quality, or achievement. So they have an impressive, causing admiration capacity. Capacity, the maximum number of people or amount can something contain. So capacity, how much people it can accommodate, how much things it can have or hold in a single time. So they have a capacity up to 50,000 residents, 10,000 visitors, and 20,000 staff members. Total 80,000 people at a time. So its capacity is 80,000. We can say this. People will be transported, would be carried or taken from one place to another. We can also use carried, move, transported between the ship and nearby ports by smaller vessels, because the giant ship itself would not fit into any harbors. You can see the pattern of writing. This will also help you to become a good writer. These two things, like Ports and harbor, they are just trying to use a different vocabulary to say the same thing, right? Since the freedom ship would literally function as a city at sea, it would include everything such a community implies. So such a community, say, uh, not exactly, but implies to indicate something without directly saying it. Like a city, it will act like a city. Residents would have access to schools, hospitals, banks, shops, restaurants, and many other facilities. The company plans to operate some services itself while partnering with outside businesses for others. Since the freedom ship would literally, literally means in actual, exact sense, not figuratively, function as a city. So it's exactly function as a city at sea. It would include everything such a community implies, community indicates without directly stating it. So they without stating directly, they are implying that it will have a lot of things. It will act like a city. Why? Because it have a school, hospital, banks, shops, restaurant, many other facilities, services, right? Many services, facilities. The company plans to operate some services itself, like company will run some services itself while partnering or working together with another organization or person with outside businesses for others, right? According to Gooch, the company hopes that entrepreneurs will lease or buy commercial spaces aboard the ship much as they would in traditional land-based town. So they want uh, entrepreneurs, people who run or start businesses, who start and run businesses will lease rented property space for a period of time, buy, obtain, or they buy the commercial spaces aboard on the ship, inside the ship, on the ship, as much as they would in a traditional, like same way the traditional land-based town located on land. He also stated the ship would should feature a state-of-the-art hospital. So the ship will have a modern state-of-the-art means using the most modern and advanced technology or methods. So state-of-the-art hospital, several medical organizations have already approach means contacted or spoke to someone about something, the company. So they already contacted the company because the ship could operate outside the authority of certain regulatory bodies. So they will be outside of regulatory bodies are actually the organization that create and enforce rules and regulation. Like they can do whatever they want because uh, they are not in the approach of regulatory bodies, making it a ideal, perfect, or most suitable for a purpose. So making it an ideal venue, a place where activity or event happen for some form of research. So what they are offering is a state of the art facility, state of the art, modern, uh, up to date with latest technology hospital. That's why several medical organizations contacted the company because the ship could operate outside the authority of said regulatory body. If you know about this, regulatory body just impose a threat to organization uh, to avoid doing something unethical, unreliable, that can threaten to the humanity. So that's why they will be outside of regulatory body. If the project succeeds, if the project will be flourish, successful as the company hopes. So company wants something to happen, uh, or believe it may happen. The freedom ship will likely powered. They supplied with energy to operate, so they will be powered and get the energy from nuclear energy. So they will be, because that's amount of ship needs nuclear energy, otherwise they cannot sustain in the situation. In order for, as a requirement, in order for something to happen, that to happen in order for the requirement this to happen, Freedom Cruise Line International must first raise more than 1.16 billion to finance the project. Raise means they need to collect, obtain this money, which is 16 billion to finance the project. I hope this lesson makes sense to you. Now let's do this guessword exercise. Then you can do yourself like this exercise, like a short time ago, not long ago. You can say this word is actually recently. Okay, so I will suggest you can do yourself, but here I am going to do exercise with you. Guess the word quiz. Let's get started. A company called Freedom Cruise Line International, what they did, they recently, because recently means a short time ago, recently made something known. So they announced its detailed idea about what they intend to do. So detailed idea is the plan to construct or create something, to build the freedom ship. And extremely large means enormous, staying on the surface of water, not sinking. It means floating city that could be able to transport or hold, carry up to. So when you carry up to means how many people you can hold or transport. Carry up to 80,000 people. A ship, vessel, we call vessel a ship as well. So vessel would be so large it could at no time, not ever is called never, not ever could, next, to bring a ship into the port, so it will never dock. The process to bring a ship into a port is called docking, securing it there. At any existing place where ship loads, we call this port or harbor. Let's move forward. Okay. The idea or general plan. So we know we can call the idea a plan, but here it's a concept because it's a journal plan, right? A detailed plan is called plan or blueprints, right? Of such ship was at the beginning in the first version, we can say originally. The idea was originally suggested an idea or plan for consideration. We call this word proposed by American engineer Norman Nixon 1990s. In spite of the fact, so whatever we learned or said, although, in spite of the fact, or even though people discuss the idea, a thought, suggestion, or plan is called idea for years. No one truly, actually, we can call this really, tried. Tried to me means attempt or attempted to build something, to construct it. So they never ever try to construct it. Okay, the original detailed plan or design for something is called blueprints, were brought back into use, dusted off. Something brought back into use after being ignored or for a long time, we can dust it off. Why it is not going due to my cursor of my mouse. But the project never advanced past a certain stage. For this, we can say advance, progress past a certain stage is called beyond. So the project never progressed beyond the planning stage. Today, people who approve of or help a person is called supporters. Supporters believe that the desire or need for something, demand for this unusual or unlike anything is called unique. Shape is as much as needed or sufficient is called enough. I think enough to show something is reasonable or worth doing is called justify. Roger Gooch, the CEO of Freedom Cruise Line International, said he is feeling sure for something that something will succeed is called confident. So Roger Gooch is confident that the project come together in a combined. So come together will start successfully, or come together will complete successfully. However, he explained that the process of obtaining money. So obtaining money is capitalizing. I think after T there's a capitalizing. Oh no, I think capitalization. I think it's capitalization, or because I need to use the exact one, it's capitalizing or capitalization. Or securing enough investment remains the biggest challenge. The company has now before a specified time, we can use already. So company has already employed, hired specialists, including a project manager, designer, naval architect, to help turn a picture or idea something wants to achieve in the future, I think it's called vision, into the state of something actually existing reality. Okay, we are good. Even with the necessary money provided funding, this would be a extremely large, difficult, I think, extremely large project. For extremely large project, we can say a monumental undertaking project task, difficult project task, undertaking. Because this monumental undertaking is a difficult to guess. The monumental means extremely large or difficult project. So an undertaking means project or task or piece of work. All right. So that's why I need to check this one, what they are going to employ. That requires very large amounts in size, amount, or scale, massive. massive amount of work. The ship's hull is the main body and structure, would need to be built in sections. No existing shipyard could have enough space or capacity to do that. Accommodate, I think in accommodate we use double C double M. Accommodate such a huge, very large and powerful and unstoppable thing. Juggernaut. Juggernaut. And approximately, roughly 1 mile long, it would be many times larger than today's biggest cruise ship. The Freedom ship would have impressive, which called causing admiration. Okay, so they have massive maximum number of people or amount something can contain capacity housing up to 50,000 permanent residents, 10,000 visitors, and 20,000 people staff member. People will be carried, transported, or taken from one place to another between the ship and nearby ports into smaller vessels, smaller boats, because the enormous ship, enormous, very large in size scale. I think that can fit. Enormous giant itself would not fit to ordinary a normal harbor or ports. So ordinary normal. Since the Freedom ship would in actual exact sense, not figuratively, is literally function as the city at sea. It would require everything such a community suggest or indicate something without directly implies stating it. It's called such a community implies look like a community where residents would have access to schools, hospitals, banks, shops, restaurants, and many other buildings, services, facilities. The company plans to operate some services itself while working together other organization partnering outside the business. According to Gooch, the company hopes. I don't know why it's not catching hopes. Hopes should also be in the blank. The people who start and run businesses is called entrepreneurs, especially I think online. But entrepreneurs will rent property, lease, or obtain something by paying money. Would buy commercial spaces aboard inside. Aboard the ship as much they would in traditional located on land rather than water is called land-based. Town. He also stated that the ship should feature a state of most modern and advanced technology or method is called state of the art. Hospital, several medical organizations have already contacted or spoke is called approach the company because the ship would operate outside the authority of certain organization that create and enforce rules is called regulatory bodies, making it perfect is called ideal place where an activity or event happen in venue for some form of oh my god, why did I press this button? Okay. If the project succeed as the company wants to happen, hopes. Okay. The freedom ship will likely to supplied with energy, supplied powered to by nuclear energy in order for as a requirement something to happen, the Freedom Cruise Line International must first collect or obtain money is called raise more than 16 billion to finance. Let's check the result. Okay, so we gave the 64 correct answers, 8 wrong attempt due to spellings, I believe, spelling mistake, and our total is 64. So we did a good job. Congratulations. Now, if you want to play, you can do this exercise I showed you originally while starting the lesson. Made something known publicly is called announce, right? So you can play with this. It's all up to you. I'm going to finish this lesson. Thank you for having and keep in touch with me. We will connect in the next lesson. Bye.